Ethics and Human Rights in Psychiatry, Professor Dr. Luis Alegro. Introduction. Achával in Medicina Legal, in order to approach the topic of the relationship between psychiatry and human rights, says that it is necessary to refer to the recommendations that are known as Declaration of Geneva in 1946, and that they have been compared in the part correspondent to the medical oath formula of Geneva, setting down, like important thing, the warning formulating the following term that each doctor should be made to itself. I won't allow that consideration of race, religion, nationality, and political parties of social condition intervene between my duty and my patient. These manifestations are them in the International Code of Medical Ethics from 1949. The medical experiences have been ruled by the Code of Nuremberg, referred to the experimentation in human beings, and for the Declaration of Helsinki 1964. In 1977, the Declaration of Honolulu referred to the political abuse of the psychiatry. Psychiatry and human rights. For approaching the relationship that are between the psychiatry and the human right is to study the psychological questions that are implied. Human rights. When one speaks about human rights, what it really means refers to those rights coined in the last decade of the 18th century related with the American and French Revolution. But let us remember that our country is an example in this sense, because from the celebrated assembly of the 1813, the slavery was abolished and slaves don't exist. However, the master image of the slave stays still hidden in unconscious form in situation of those that is very essential to investigate, because to the smallest negligence appears in a masked form. The idea of the inalienable right of the human being is very older, and it's very renowned for poets, philosophers, and politicians, so much of the antiquity as the Middle Ages. For instance, Sophocles already invoked the highest natural laws in the man natural right for examining Antigona, put in lips of King Creon, his force and his wickedness in front of the laws of God. In the 19th and 20th centuries, the example was given by the United States and France, adopting ordinances of the right or guaranteeing the individual freedoms, and they were continued by the other European countries and of the rest of America, Asia, and Africa. The Russian Revolution of 1917, following the American and French precedents in the form of their pronouncement, added a fundamental difference, which was not especially in the emphasis in the economic and social rights, but in a complete transformation of the sense of the political and civil rights. These basic differences in concept become clear in the comparison of the first Soviet constitution. The first amendment to the American Constitution provides, among other rights, that the Congress won't produce any law about the freedom of press of speech. The Russian Constitution of 1918, for the purpose of assuring freedom of speech to the masses, remove all dependence of the press on the capital and prostitution of the hardworking, tone in the proletarian poor, all the technical means and material for the publication of newspapers, pamphlets, books, etc. In certain sense, the French Revolution breaks up with what was of the culture of the Middle Ages and of the feudal structure. The feudal is the Middle Ages and their social structure. In their most specific sense, the feudalism and the social system of rights and duties based on a position and personal relationship in which the earth is worked by the vassals of the feudal gentleman in such a way that same vassals are an ownership more than the gentleman together with the earth. The situation considered down this way of relationship between the gentleman and the vassal like a master-slave. 1. The vassal is the feudal gentleman, executive arm. The gentleman was owner of bodies and souls. In a wide sense, the expression feudal society denotes a civilization for the flourishes specialists in a closed agricultural economy and has certain general characteristics besides the mere presence of the gentleman, the vassals and feuds. In such a society, those that certify official duties in the civil order or in the military one receive as a general remuneration to the property of a feud that could be transmitted hereditarily. Another aspect of the feudalism is the elegant system in which the gentleman down there exercises on the vassal people and a wide range of police functions, justice, inspection, and other rights. Several of the big civilizations in the world have spent through the feudal period in the course of their history. Several of these feudalisms, for example, the Japanese one is completely comparable with the feudalism of Western one on Western Europe and of the East Latin one. The origin of the European feudalism is found in the early Franco-Norman kingdom of the 18th century, when the bonuses were of donation of youths. In the second half of the century 8, the donation included the special from the Basel age. With the Gallic conquest, the feudalism extended in the north of Italy, Spain, and Germany, and later in the Slavic territories. The Norman ones took England in 1066, and the south of Italy and Sicily few years later. From England, the feudalism extended to Scotland and Ireland, and the Crusaders took charge of extending it for the rest of Europe. The feudal thought in our culture. In psychology, studying the human evolution, there is a thought that says ontogenesis repeats phylogenetic. That is to say that the human being repeats in his individual development or the stage of the evolution of the animal species begin with the being more primitive unicellular, like it can be the amoeba, until arriving to the differentiated mammal, that is the man. The human embryo goes this way by a stage of being unicellular, then become pluricellular in search of every time a bigger evolution until arriving to the biggest evolution degree. It seems to be that the societies also perform this evolution. Starting from primitive communities, they become more and more complex until to arrive to the biggest evolution degree in the modern communities. But in this terminal model, we find as archaeological remains some representative of those cultures. The human thought who does complete this cycle. The future thought represent this way of stage in this evolution. In the group social minimum that the patient and their doctor form, they repeat all the stages of the development of the human culture. If we remember that the oldest universities were formed in the Middle Age, we are authorized to think that this era has exercised a great weight in the history of the human culture. In the juridical environment, we find remains of this linguistic expression as "your lordship," that it's used to speak to a magistrate, imposes a vertical relationship among judge and judged person that remembers the relationship between the gentleman and the vassal. The human being development of infantile dependence. We know that the human being is born defenseless, completely defenseless, so much that if he leaves him liberated to their own possibilities of surviving, we could assure that he would die in the who doesn't assist him, offering him all that they need biological and psychologically. We also know that this infantile dependence is enormous and that his mother's variation is not carried out psychologically later but a lot of time in a lapse that is measured in years. Dependence and regression. The stereotype plate that leaves this infantile dependence is very big and remains in more or smaller degree during a lifetime without being able to never be solved in its entirety. Every time that the human being in his curve is progressive evolution finds against a difficulty, automatically the necessity arises in his mind a kind of return to the stage of the infantile dependence in order to revive all the psychological characteristics of that age. The illness, the regression, and the infantile dependence. The illness constitutes to happen that it always produces a regression to the childhood. The patient is always a boy that needs to be protected. For this reason, the tendency arises in him that can be very strong to promote in the doctor a paternalistic attitude, since in turn to the doctor for his vocation want to help his patient. The professional needs to be very attentive to disorder his patient psychological attitude, and he will save enough calm for not stopping to be medical professional and to become a visual father. If in spite of everything this situation is given, the whole doctor-patient relationship will acquire the relationship master-slave and lord-vassal characteristics. In the medical practice, these subtleties are given and requires to be investigated sincerely. Consequences of this in the medical facts. The consequence of this is that the method happening is perverted being left the material course that should have. The doctor unconsciously puts the patient to the service of the experimentation. He begins to see the patient as an object, and he finishes forgetting the human condition of him. Then the relationship requires a new character. The patient has become a thing, and the human rights have been lost. Conclusion. I must be aware that in what I have just supposed I have reduced a simplified excessively the problem, and all human situation extremely complex. The therapeutic situation is more than any other. The simplification are only good to fulfill a deductive, objective, and their utility on rest when then a teaching is obtained. If this simplification is something learned, then the objective is achieved.